It's not what you know that hurts you. It's what you don't know, and even worse, what you think you know that just isn't so. That's what drains your wealth in silence. That's what bleeds your future dry, one unnoticed decision at a time. Not the storms you prepare for, but the leaks you ignore. Not the massive failures you fear, but the small missteps you repeat. Money doesn't disappear, it's redirected. It flows, always. And if it's not flowing to you, it's flowing to someone else. Someone with better systems, sharper vision, and stronger convictions. Someone who made fewer of the silent mistakes you keep repeating. Not because you're lazy, but because you were never taught, never shown the true game. Because while they told you to get a job and save money, the wealthy learned how to leverage, how to think in frameworks, how to spend with purpose, how to build machines that make money move toward them like gravity. You think you're being responsible. You're being drained. You think you're playing it safe. You're sacrificing decades. Because money doesn't respond to effort, it responds to understanding. And these are the blind spots, the cracks in the foundation, the habits that seem harmless but cost you everything. The first mistake, you treat money emotionally, not mathematically. You spend to feel good. You buy because you're tired, bored, lonely, insecure. And you call it self-care. But what it really is self-sabotage, dressed in dopamine. Every swipe is a story. I deserve this. Just this once. It's only 20. But money doesn't care about your feelings. It follows law, not emotion. Wealth is not emotional, it's engineered. It's created through precision, awareness, control. And the wealthy, they don't ask, can I afford this? They ask, what does this cost me long term? Every dollar they spend has a purpose. Every investment has a timeline. Every decision is filtered through logic, not lack. You want to keep more money? Learn to master the math, not just the mood. Mistake number 2, you confuse income with wealth. You can make 6 figures and still be broke. You can be applauded for your salary while silently drowning in lifestyle inflation. Because income is loud, but wealth is silent. Income buys cars. Wealth buys freedom. Income impresses. Wealth protects. Most people chase a paycheck and call it progress, but they've built a golden cage. The car got bigger. The house got fancier, but the stress, it multiplied. Why? Because they earned more and spent more. And now they need more just to feel the same. But wealth is built in the gap between what you earn and what you keep. It's what you invest. It's what you own. It's what grows when you sleep. So stop asking how much you make. Start asking how much you multiply. Mistake number 3, you trade time for money and think it's normal. You work 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours a week, and you're proud of it. But here's the question. What happens when you stop working? If the money stops when you stop moving, you don't own your life, you're renting your survival. And the rent gets more expensive every year. You were not born to trade hours for dollars until your knees give out. You were born to build systems, streams, ownership. You were born to detach your income from your time. And you do that by investing, by creating, by building something that pays you even when you're sleeping, traveling, resting, living. Until your money works harder than you do, you'll always be one bad month away from panic. Mistake number 4, you fear debt more than stagnation. They told you all debt is bad, but that's a lie. The wrong debt is dangerous, but the right debt, it's a lever, it's a tool. It's the reason the wealthy scale while others crawl. You avoided all debt, great, but you also avoided growth. You feared the risk, so you stayed small. You didn't learn how to use leverage. You learned how to stay comfortable. But comfort doesn't create wealth. Leverage does. The key is not to avoid debt, but to use it wisely, to borrow for assets, not liabilities, to invest in things that cash flow, that appreciate, that work for you. Because staying safe with money is the riskiest thing you can do in a world that rewards courage and crushes complacency. Mistake number 5. You avoid conversations about money. You think talking about money is rude. You were taught it's taboo, that it's arrogant, that it's shallow. But silence is expensive. Ignorance is lethal. If you don't talk about money, you won't learn about money. You won't know how others are investing, what strategies are working, what traps to avoid. You won't know the language of wealth, and if you don't speak the language, you won't be invited to the table where wealth is built. Start asking questions. Start having the uncomfortable conversations. Start seeking people who talk numbers, assets, equity, taxes, cash flow, not just clothes, gossip, and entertainment. Your future net worth is directly tied to your current financial network. Mistake number 6, you overpay in silence. You let subscriptions auto-renew. You ignore your bank statements. You pay fees because you didn't read the fine print. You tiptoe around negotiation because you don't want to seem difficult. And all the while, your money leaks. You bleed 10 here, 50 there, hundreds every month, simply because you weren't paying attention, because you didn't ask for a better rate, because you didn't cancel what you don't use, because you didn't speak up when you should have said no. Silence is expensive. The people who win with money are not casual about money. They are precise. They track. They audit. They negotiate. Not because they're stingy, but because they respect their financial future too much to be lazy. If you don't control your money, someone else will. And their plan is not to make you rich. Mistake number 7. You rely on one stream of income. You depend on a single job, a single client, a single source, and you think it's secure. But that's not security. That's financial fragility disguised as stability. Because if that stream dries up, your life cracks. And in today's world, anything can shift. Industries collapse, positions get cut, economies turn. The wealthy diversify. They build multiple flows. Stocks, real estate, digital assets, business equity, licensing, royalties, money from many directions. So that if one stream falters, the others fortify. One income source is not enough, not if you want freedom, not if you want power, not if you want to sleep at night knowing no one decision can end your lifestyle. Security doesn't come from employment. It comes from ownership. Mistake number 8. You spend based on who you are now, not who you're becoming. You make decisions to impress people who don't think about you. You dress for the job you have, not the empire you're building. You live in the present, but you've forgotten the future's watching. Every dollar you spend is a vote for comfort or for compound growth. The wealthy delay gratification, not because they hate luxury, but because they refuse to sacrifice tomorrow for the illusion of status today. They buy assets first, then use the profits to fund the lifestyle. You want freedom? Learn to say no now so you can say yes forever later. Don't spend like you've arrived when you're still building the vehicle to get there. Mistake number 9, you wait for permission. You wait for the perfect time, the perfect mentor, the perfect market, the perfect plan. And while you wait, others build. They fail, they learn, they pivot, but they move. They plant, they sow, they create momentum while you rehearse readiness. But money doesn't move for the perfect. It moves for the prepared. And preparation comes from doing, not waiting. You don't need more validation. You need more velocity. You don't need permission to start building wealth. You need the decision. And once you decide, once you stop making these silent, invisible mistakes, you'll find something surprising. Wealth was never far. It was just waiting for the right version of you to show up. The right version of you, the one who no longer plays small for the comfort of others. The one who no longer spends to feel significant. The one who no longer waits for signs when you are the signal. You see, money doesn't flow to people who need it. It flows to people who respect it. Not just through budgets and spreadsheets, but through identity, through presence, through posture. When you walk like a steward, speak like a builder, and act like an owner, wealth responds. It notices. It gravitates toward order, toward alignment, toward intention. That's the word that changes everything. Intention. Most people spend unintentionally, earn unintentionally, work, hustle, grind unintentionally. They wake up and react, pay bills, fill the tank, swipe the card, and wonder why there's never enough. But money, like energy, flows toward the deliberate, toward those who command it, not those who chase it. And that's why these mistakes are so costly. Not because they hurt your bank account, but because they shape your identity. Every time you avoid the conversation, every time you flinch at an investment, every time you overconsume and underthink, you reinforce a lie. The lie that you are not in control, that wealth is for others, that you're bad with money. But the truth, you are not bad with money. You've just been lied to. trained wrong, programmed by systems that benefit from your ignorance. And now you know. Now you see. Now it's on you to move differently, to think like an investor, speak like a strategist, act like someone who refuses to pass down financial trauma to the next generation, because that's what's really at stake. It's not just about your bills, your goals, your lifestyle. It's about your children watching you. It's about the legacy being formed in silence. It's about the freedom you could create, not just for yourself, but for every name that carries your blood. You want to break the cycle? It doesn't start with more money. It starts with more awareness, more accountability, more audacity to look your financial truth in the face and say, no more drifting, no more just surviving. I will master this game. I will multiply this seed. I will build the kind of life that doesn't fear Monday morning. Because freedom isn't just about numbers. It's about power. The power to say no to what drains you. The power to walk away from what disrespects you. The power to wake up and live your life, not someone else's script. And that power, it begins with discipline, with decisions, with cutting out the mistakes that quietly cost you everything. So cut them. Cut emotional spending and start building financial systems. Cut lifestyle creep and start growing true assets. Cut the habit of silence and start seeking knowledge relentlessly. Cut the shame, cut the blame, cut the passivity. And in its place, plant strategy, plant courage, plant ownership. Because money is not your enemy. It's a mirror. And what it reflects back depends on who you're willing to become. So become the kind of person money trusts. Become the kind of person wealth flows toward. Not because you're lucky, but because you're ready. Ready to stop bleeding dollars in silence. Ready to stop making decisions from fear. Ready to start building with focus, with clarity, with conviction. And when you do, everything changes. Because when the mistakes stop, the wealth starts. And when the wealth starts, it doesn't just add to your life. It amplifies it. It amplifies your discipline, your decisions, your character. It amplifies whatever foundation you've laid. If you've built on sand, chaos will multiply. If you've built on vision, freedom will expand. Because money doesn't make you someone new. It reveals who you already are and magnifies it. That's why you must become stronger than your income. So when the increase comes, it doesn't destroy you, it empowers you. So when the profits rise, your principles stay rooted. So when opportunity knocks, you don't flinch, you lead. Because now you're not just fixing mistakes, you're building systems. You're creating blueprints. You're no longer reacting to scarcity, you're engineering abundance. That's the shift. That's the moment you stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like a creator, like an architect, like a kingdom builder. Because here's what they never told you. The wealthy are not better than you. They just think longer term than you. They feel the same fear, but they move anyway. They make mistakes, but they learn faster. They don't avoid risk, they manage it. And above all, they protect their mindset like a fortress. Because the first form of wealth is mental. It's in how you speak, how you think, how you define yourself in the quiet. Do you say, I'll never have enough? Or do you say, I'm learning to master this game? Do you say, that's not for me? Or do you say, I'm building the capacity to handle more? Do you say, I'm just trying to get by? Or do you say, I'm positioning myself to multiply? Because what you speak, you seek. And what you seek, you build. And what you build, you become. You're not just here to fix broken habits. You're here to establish a new lineage, a new standard, a new definition of wealth that includes joy, peace, ownership, impact. You're not here just to make money. You're here to wield it wisely, righteously, purposefully, to make it serve your values, not violate them, to make it build dreams, not destroy discipline. And that only happens when you stop leaking wealth through invisible cracks, the ones no one claps for fixing, the ones no one sees, the ones that separate the financially exhausted from the financially elevated. So take inventory. Where are you bleeding? Where are you blind? Where are you repeating patterns inherited from people who never had what you're trying to build? It stops with you. You are the interruption. You are the new equation. You are the moment the mistakes get replaced with mastery. Not because of luck, but because of decision, because you finally stopped waiting for money to respect you and chose to respect money first. And from that posture, everything shifts. Money starts listening. money starts multiplying. Money starts moving in your direction. Not fast, not flashy, but faithfully day by day, habit by habit, principle by principle, until one day you look up and realize you're no longer chasing wealth. You are wealth, not just in your bank account, but in your identity, in your thinking, in the way you carry yourself through adversity, in the way you walk into a room and know exactly what value you bring. You no longer define wealth as dollars and decimals, but as decisions and direction. Because you've learned money follows mastery. And mastery starts with ownership of the small. You track what others ignore. You optimize what others overlook. You show up with intention while others live in reaction. And over time, that compound attention turns into compound returns. You earn while others entertain. You build while others blame. You multiply while others maintain. And that's the difference between struggle and sovereignty. Sovereignty is financial power paired with personal responsibility. It's knowing you're the source, not the system. It's waking up knowing, I don't wait for income, I create it. It's no longer hoping to get ahead, it's engineering inevitability. Because when you cut the mistakes, align with truth, and stack the right moves, wealth stops being a fantasy and starts becoming your new normal. A normal where your decisions aren't made by survival, but by strategy. A normal where you're no longer buying time, you're owning it. A normal where your family doesn't just admire what you built, they inherit your mindset. That's the real treasure. Not the cash, not the cars, not the credit score, but the internal wealth that cannot be taxed, stolen, or destroyed. The kind of wealth that changes rooms. The kind of wealth that changes bloodlines. The kind of wealth that only grows when you stop pretending ignorance is innocence. It's not. It's expensive. And now you know. So the question isn't whether you'll fix the mistakes. The question is, who will you become when you do? What kind of force will rise out of the ashes of your excuses? What kind of leader will emerge when you finally take your money personally? Not with guilt, but with glory. Not to prove something, but to provide something, a new standard, a life of alignment, a future funded by wisdom, a legacy no longer delayed. Because now the silent mistakes are no longer silent. Now you've seen them, and what you see, you can solve. What you solve, you can scale. And what you scale becomes a monument to mastery. So rise, not in fear, but in focus, not in shame, but in strategy. Speak wealth, build wealth, be wealth. And let every dollar you touch echo one truth louder than anything else. This is a life that leaks nothing and leaves everything. Everything you were meant to become. Everything you were afraid to ask for. Everything they told you was too much, too far, too bold, too impossible. It's all waiting not on permission, but on position. Not on a lucky break, but on a bold beginning. Not on some mystical sign, but on the day you decide, this ends now. The financial confusion, the silent sabotage, the cycle of almost enough. Gone because you woke up, you saw the cracks, you named the leaks, and now you build with intention. And that intention, it attracts everything. Mediocrity repels. It calls in opportunity. It draws in partnership. It multiplies access. Because the universe doesn't reward the one who waits. It rewards the one who prepares. The one who planted seeds in seasons of scarcity. The one who rewired habits before the profit showed up. The one who treated every dollar like a vote for the future they refused to postpone. And now you are that one. You are no longer hoping for wealth. You are holding the wheel of it. You are steering the ship of your own economics. You are no longer a passive participant in the game. You are the system now. And you will never again let invisible mistakes drain the power you were born to own. So let this be the vow. From this day forward, you will speak with clarity. You will move with precision. You will spend with wisdom. You will earn with purpose. You will invest with foresight. You will multiply with strategy. You will give with conviction. You will live with financial sovereignty. Not because it's easy, but because you are equipped. Not because you never failed, but because you finally stopped repeating it. Not because you have all the answers, but because you now ask better questions. And because the person who asks better questions eventually becomes the one who answers them for others. So don't just fix your financial life. Teach it by how you live. Be the evidence that the right mindset, the right actions, and the right language can turn any mess into momentum. Be the proof that clarity is more valuable than cash. And once you get both, you change the trajectory of every name that comes after you. This is the shift. This is the standard. This is the silence shattered forever. You now know the 9 mistakes that were costing you money. But more importantly, you now know how to never make them again. And that is the first step toward a life that doesn't just attract wealth. It becomes impossible to ignore. Because a life that cannot be ignored is a life that was intentionally designed, not drifted into, not accidentally stumbled upon, but architected with fire in the soul and numbers in the plan. You don't get here by luck. You get here by alignment, by breaking the cycle of unconscious choices, by destroying the delusion that being busy is the same as being effective, by releasing the fantasy that money will somehow just work out if you ignore it long enough. It doesn't, but you do. You work when you stop lying to yourself. You grow when you stop protecting old patterns. You thrive when you cut the dead weight mentally, emotionally, financially. And every time you choose precision over passivity, every time you choose clarity over chaos, you stack one more brick in the empire of your financial future. Brick by brick, habit by habit, mistake corrected, wisdom adopted. You are not just escaping poverty, you are establishing prosperity. Not just for you, for everyone connected to your last name. Because here's the final truth most never see coming. Wealth is not personal, it's generational. It echoes, it teaches, it transfers. And if you don't build it with vision, your children will inherit your confusion instead of your clarity. But if you do build it, if you fix the silent mistakes, apply the hidden truths, and lead by example, then wealth is no longer a goal. It becomes a culture, a language spoken at the dinner table, a mindset passed down like heirlooms, a fire that burns in hearts who never had to wonder if they were worthy of abundance because they saw it in you. So lead boldly, live wisely, earn righteously, and multiply with purpose. Because now you are the one who sees. Now you are the one who knows. And now because of you, the next generation will never start from zero again. This is what wealth really means. It begins now, not with a new job, not with a lucky investment, not with someone else finally giving you a chance. It begins with you, right here, right now. In this moment of clarity where everything old becomes unacceptable and everything new becomes non-negotiable. This is the moment you stop asking, how much does it cost? And start asking, what does it return? This is the moment you stop hiding from your statements and start leading with your standards. This is the moment you stop defining yourself by your limitations and start walking in your financial identity. Because the most valuable asset you'll ever own is the mindset that refuses to be poor again, mentally, emotionally, or financially. You may have started broke. You may have been raised in scarcity. You may have learned money through struggle, debt, and fear. But that's not your final chapter. You don't need to wait for more money to start acting wealthy. Wealthy isn't what's in your account, it's how you account for yourself. It's the rules you live by, the boundaries you enforce, the future you refuse to forfeit. Because you don't need more to get started. You need better use of what you already have. Use your time like an investor. Use your energy like a strategist. Use your skills like a builder. Use your voice like a leader. Use your mind like a magnifier of wealth, not a jail cell for doubt. Because wealth doesn't belong to the lucky. It belongs to the intentional, to those who steward better than they spend, to those who plant more than they consume, to those who protect their peace like it's profit, because it is. This is what separates the rich from the reckless. They don't just ask, can I buy this? They ask, will this cost me future freedom? That's the question. That's the edge. That's the new language of wealth you carry now. And with it, everything changes. No more accidental expenses. No more emotional chaos. No more invisible mistakes. Now, every move is a seed. Every habit is a brick. Every decision is a statement. I build wealth. I protect it. I multiply it. I pass it on. Let that be your oath. Let that be your anthem. And let your life scream it so loud that the silence of scarcity never finds your house again. This is your financial awakening. This is the day money stopped slipping through your hands. This is the day you became the gatekeeper, not just of cash flow, but of legacy. And that legacy, it starts with no more mistakes, only momentum.